be honest, at first I thought I was just seeing double.
2027, the year everything changes. We have talked about the idea that open contact is about to happen, is imminent. Within 2 years, they will be officially introduced to your society. At first, most likely hybrids, Pleiadians, and then others.
It was the same kind of sound again, that deep, gun-like boom, and this one under their post summed it up perfectly. Ever heard a loud boom out of nowhere on the Carolina coast? No thunder, no jets, no explanation. That's the Seneca guns. But what exactly are Seneca guns? Let's dive into it. For generations, people living along the Carolina coast have heard strange, thunderous booms that shake windows and rattle houses, even on clear, calm days. Locals describe the experience as if a massive explosion just went off nearby. Some say it feels like a truck slamming into the ground, while others describe it as an earthquake that never quite happens. Theories about the cause spread fast online, from military aircraft to earthquakes, to even more far-fetched ideas like ghosts or alien activity. But
in the hills of the Rajasthan region of India, a tourist had a surprising experience. He found a creature so curious that, at first glance, it looked like an ordinary leaf, but it wasn't. It was a leaf mantis, an impressive insect capable of perfectly mimicking the shape and texture of a leaf to camouflage itself from predators and avoid capture. The discovery left him completely astonished, because although he had heard of this unusual species, he never imagined he would one day see a real specimen before his own eyes. A black scorpion, but with much thicker claws than normal. The most surprising thing happened next. The animal began to change color, from deep black to a bright blue and then returning to its original shade. According to the creator, he had left several scorpions in a container near the Turno exclusion zone and monitored them from a distance. Most did not survive, but one of them underwent this unusual transformation. He believed it to be a direct effect of radiation and intended to conduct further tests to investigate the phenomenon.
So a week before Genesis was announced, the Clockman announced that he would be the co-chief executive of a project called Prometheus. Isn't that interesting? Continue to read the article. It says, Project Prometheus, the company is focusing on artificial intelligence for the engineering and manufacturing of computers, automobiles, and spacecraft. The same exact thing that Genesis will be removing restrictions. Prometheus, they are kind of similar in a way because they both tell of giving humans things they're not supposed to have. The book of Genesis talks about God creating the universe, earth, and all life, including the first man and woman. It also talks about the temptation of the serpents eating from the fruit of the tree of knowledge, forbidden knowledge leading to the downfall. And then when you look at Prometheus, Prometheus gave forbidden knowledge to humans, which led to his punishment. He gave them, supposedly, divine fire. So Genesis and Prometheus both deal with the themes of forbidden knowledge and Prometheus and Genesis being announced and created. And what's with them naming everything after not only Freakquency Atlas, but OpenAI has a web browser they just released called Atlas. France will be creating and giving the United States in 2026 the tallest statue in the West that represents Atlas. We have Jeff Bezos creating this AI called Prometheus, and then we have Mark Zuckerberg creating this massive AI data center in New York called Hyperion. Then there's another AI called Talos. There's something deeper happening. Project Prometheus is focused on applying AI to physical tasks, including robotics, drug design, and scientific discovery. This year, several prominent researchers left Meta, OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and other big AI projects to found Periodic Labs, a company that Jeff Bezos is the biggest investor in. A company that is focused on building AI technology that can accelerate discoveries in areas like physics and chemistry. Last year, Jeff Bezos invested in Physical Intelligence, a startup that is applying AI to robots. Is basically going to be creating these entities and accelerating them, creating these robotic AIs. And going back to Greek mythology, Prometheus, going back to the book of Genesis, they both deal with the themes of creation. Creating humans, them getting some sort of forbidden knowledge, And it ultimately ends with the downfall. It ends with punishment.
Fisherman Daniel Pitt worked in the Arahora Sea, where he spent years catching small marine animals like turtles and dugongs, without ever encountering anything out of the ordinary. Until that day, in broad daylight, a gigantic and completely unexpected creature appeared just below the surface. Its body was wide, its skin pale, and its face elongated. At the top of its head there was even an opening similar to a whale's blowhole. The creature simply swam past him and went on its way, leaving Daniel full of questions. Was it some kind of mutant creature? Or perhaps a true living fossil that managed to survive
I'm
the
gonna tell you
ages?
why this statue falling in Brazil specifically is so insane. I'm telling you, it gets crazy. So this is quite literally, as you probably know, a replica of the Statue of Liberty. And if you know, the Statue of Liberty is Lucifer, Apollo, Apollyon, Abaddon. And I mean it, it gets really crazy. So again, this happened in Brazil. If you remember the first century about Nero being unalive and also having a statue built of himself, right? It's very symbolic of Rome falling. Rome is the current America. Again, if you know, you know. But this video is not made to explain to you guys why America is Rome. You can watch my older videos for that. It's to explain something much more severe. You ready to see what else happened in Brazil a couple weeks ago? Yes, the same exact Christ the Redeemer statue they're always using for blasphemy. Don't you see what's happening in America right now? America is falling. Rome is falling. And Jesus Christ himself is on the clouds. What does that tell you? 2 kids stabbing famous parents within hours of each other. The FBI just uncovered 4 to 5 more terror attacks after Sydney, Australia, and after Brown University. The freaking culprit from Brown University was released because of a lack of evidence, so they have no shooter in custody. Again, tens of thousands of cameras and hanging hand on the building everywhere, no footage of him at all. And just wait till you see what Reiner was working on when his son took them out. If you thought Trump's response was weird over this situation, wait till I showed him how he acted over the terror attacks. It's amazing how in this last few months, we've had about 15 terror attacks, including the possible one that was going to happen in Texas and one in DC and just everywhere, especially overseas. It's even crazier that Marco Rubio said that Venezuela was aiding poor Iran. Shut up. If you don't know what I'm talking about, my last video will show you, but hold on. People need to understand there's something happening in the human brain around the world right now. Completely unrelated. It's as if there's a lot of robots around each country and they're just stirring up so much trouble somehow. Totally not like this, but poor description. So you have a chessboard and you have the kings and the pawns, and the pawns are blocking off the king and the queen. Keep them safe, but the pawns are losing themselves for the king, for the queen, for their interest. Back to the Rainer thing. When he died, he was allegedly working on a film or a book about the president called The Spy and the Asset.
On a Trump type of thing, like a crime drama, perhaps?
Well, I'm working on a project, and I'll tell you, and I haven't told anybody about it.
Okay, here we go.
But I'm working on a project, and I haven't got the go-ahead yet, but I'm working on a project called The Spy and the Asset. And it's all about,
Of course, we have that footage leaking. Meanwhile, the president is receiving a major backlash for this guy he said, was tortured, struggled, very talented, blah, blah, blah. Reported he had TDS, and he was driving people crazy about his obsession with the president. Whether you like him or not, you have to admit his responses have been really weird over the last 3 months. Something happened 3 months ago. His responses since then. In this video, he goes right from the shooting to money.
Celebrate Hanukkah, because that was such a horrible attack. That was a purely ethnic attack. And to really celebrate the new year, we have an amazing couple of achievements. We've taken in more investment money than any country has ever taken in by.
Personally, I think when you're talking about 2 different shootings where people actually did lose their life, regardless of any orchestration, for lack of better terms, that it's not right to go from talking about these victims all of a sudden to go directly to money. It's just getting so wild, and it's so crazy how people like this were somehow able to tell us that all of these things were coming. Again, I ask you, how did those kind of people know? This show today is going to be absolutely wild. You don't want to miss it. You are not even going to believe what I've uncovered. Oh yeah, and what you see behind me? This is what the news is calling allegedly hundreds of Hamas supporters trying to attack the people who are, at another Hanukkah celebration. I just got done telling you guys in my last video, there is a major change coming. Scratch that, it's already here. So they're saying that the Bondi terror attack was done by Iran. Shut up. Well, Y'all know how we're about to do land strikes sometime soon, says the president in Venezuela, right? Do we got any Iran connection to Venezuela? I guess so. Check out Marco Rubio. By the way, completely unrelated, like not related whatsoever. This was 2 weeks ago.
The Venezuelan regime is a source of instability in the entire region. Over 8 million Venezuelans have flooded into neighboring countries as a result of the regime's activities within their own country, including into the United States. They also happen to be the foothold of Iran. That's not spoken about enough. Iran, its IRGC, and even Hezbollah has a presence in South America.
Yo, what are the chances that we had that thing in D.C. last month, like on Thanksgiving, right? The next day in Texas, they stopped a boom. Remember, it was some terror threat. Then we have Brown University shooting, and then today we have the Bondi Beach terror shooting. And of course, it all traces back to Iran. Oh, and like clockwork, there was a shooting outside of a Jewish home in California a few hours ago. By the way, let me remind you again that Loomer has been on Twitter yelling about a terror attack for months now. And of course, the Europe mandatory draft is back. I showed you Canada trying to get 300,000 more citizens to their military, which is at 27,000, private military, whatever. This was in Sydney, Australia, when they were hearing the gunfire and they're getting scared about people in the house. Y'all, things are going to get bad. Things are already bad. But if you know, you already knew, and you know what it's going to look like in a few months. I am because he is. What about you?
I would say it is Titanic. They're gonna have to shut the hotel down. We'll never forget this
Truman Show. If you start trying to get out, crazy stuff starts happening. You get canceled. Think about the people getting canceled. It's bizarre. One of the things that happens is Truman starts to see cracks. He walks randomly into a building that he never goes into one day, and the elevator door is open. There's no elevator there. It's just a break room for all the actors in the Truman Show. And he sees through the set, and he sees kind of behind the scenes one day, which is like someone in our life realizing that marketing and advertising and all this kind of stuff is ruining us. It's building a prison that we can't see, just like in the Truman Show. He starts questioning reality, and the moment he does that, everyone around him steps in to say, whoa, man, you need to come back to Earth. You need to come back here and stay here. You need to stay here. Which is what do our friends do when we start going hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do that. I don't want to participate in that. It's very eerily similar. Truman is willing to die for the truth. And if you're in the business of finding truth and your price isn't your life, then you are for sale. Your version of truth is for sale.
The reason why they're doing this is that they want us to become entranced by the idea of this religion, to have it be cool, to have it be trendy. So one of the things they do is this symbol, which is 666. Each finger is one of the stems of the 6. So you'll see people do stuff like this. You'll also see them put their finger over their eye like this. That's the all-seeing eye. Or they'll do this a lot. You'll have this kind of symbolism. So they're out there putting out these sigils and signs and codes and symbols, and they do it through things like pop music. So people start watching what's ever popular, and they're seeing flames, and they're seeing people dancing around in Baphomet horns, and they're seeing all this really strange stuff. Their goal, again, is to acquaint us with their religion so that if they get their goal realized, which is to create a massive world economic collapse, greatly reduce population, and then come out as our liberators, giving us this technology, giving us what they consider to be freedom, we would actually be trading our sovereignty for a much greater...
Mom just bought that? What the... She drunk some? No, I was scared to drink it.
A few days later, something even more intriguing began to happen. A strange organism began to develop from the rock. Black tentacles emerged and writhed, slowly spreading out. The most frightening thing was that the growth never stopped, increasing every day. Kin kept the public updated, constantly posting videos of the mysterious form's progress. And this recording showed precisely the first stages of that unusual growth. He even asked his followers for help in identifying what it could be, and many came to believe it was an alien being.
This is possibly the worst thing that could have happened to Brigitte Macron, given this lawsuit and this news cycle. Brigitte Macron, wife of French President Emmanuel Macron, was registered as a man in the tax registry. What? 2 suspects identified. Oh no. Brigitte Macron, wife of French President Emmanuel Macron, was registered as a man, reportedly as a result of tampering. The 2 suspects are identified in an investigation tampering of Brigitte Macron. Maybe they're the people who stole from the Louvre earlier this month. Shocking discovery will be reported tomorrow. French TV channel dedicated a news segment to the French First Lady. We'll play that for you in a second. Seemingly absurd rumor that she was born a man. Before you think that this is a conspiracy theory on steroids, let me remind you, shocking revelation of Brigitte's chief of staff, French Emmanuel President, discovered that her tax account on France's official website listed her as a male under the name Jean-Michel. Here's the video and the original report.
À l'Élysée, dans le bureau de la Première Dame, c'est une découverte qui a semé un vent de panique.
Madame Macron, comme beaucoup de Français, va consulter son espace personnel sur le site impôts.gouv.fr. Elle se connecte et elle voit dans la partie en haut à droite qu'il n'y a pas écrit Brigitte Macron, mais qu'il y a marqué Jean-Michel dit Brigitte Macron. Et donc là, vous avez, au-delà du haut le cœur, vous êtes totalement surpris.
Tristan Bromet s'exprime pour la première fois. Il est le directeur de cabinet de Brigitte Macron et son plus proche collaborateur depuis 2017.
Je refais la manipulation avec elle, je regarde, effectivement, c'est une partie qui est réservée à votre identifiant, c'est-à-dire votre identité, et c'est une partie que vous ne pouvez pas modifier. Madame Macron porte plainte avec son avocat pour savoir, en fait, pour qu'il y ait une enquête, pour savoir d'où ça vient. Et donc les enquêteurs ont identifié 2 personnes.
The state transferred $577 million into a trust he created 2 days before his death. And it was called the 1953 Trust. Why 1953? That's the year he was born. A little weird, 2 days before. I think you are like fully prepared. What's a little weird? And Epstein was arrested in July 2019 and died just 1 month later. And by the way, that money that, the 2 days before he died, he moved the $577 million into the 1953 Trust. That $577 million moved all the way down to $40 million. Just recently, January of 2025, the estate received another $112 million in a tax refund. Now the money is back up to $145 million. It used to be at $40 million. A little weird that the money is still moving around. And a couple names in this case you got to be looking at. Attorney and accountant Darren Indike and Richard Kahn.
This guy goes missing after exposing the place where NASA filmed the moon landing? Oh man, I just know. I just feel it in my bones, guys. This video went viral, and very shortly after, he came up missing. Check out the background, guys. Look, it's identical.
Quietly preparing for the end of the world. They've been hustling for decades. You wouldn't know it by just looking at them, but underneath around 60% of the Swiss Alps, they've built a city of doomsday bunkers that can protect hundreds of thousands of people in a catastrophic event. In fact, Switzerland is the only country in the world that can house their entire population, 8.7 million people, in a secure bunker. And they're not just old, forgotten World War II structures slowly crumbling away. They are continuously updated and restocked with supplies till this day. You see, Switzerland decided they needed to, excuse the pun, lock in after Germany promised to not invade them during World War II. They not only transformed the peaceful Swiss Alps into an absolute fortress and rigged it with enough explosives to collapse entire mountainsides, but the Swiss government also made it a law for homes, schools, hospitals, and other public buildings to install protective shelters, and that policy remains till this day, meaning the entire entire country is designed in a way that wherever you go, whether it's a restaurant, a park, or a friend's house, there's always a doomsday bunker nearby. According to official figures, Switzerland currently has around 300,000 bunkers across the country, which can accommodate roughly 9.3 million people. That's over 500,000 more than the country's current population. And once they're safely inside, they can even remotely detonate things like roads, bridges, tunnels, and railways to keep out invaders, or I guess, the unprepared.
The name of this book is right here. The Universal Geographical Grammar. I'm just going to give a quick preview of this because there's things in here, right? So here's the opening map. Here's the opening map of the world. And let's see, hold on. Right here, Eastern Tartary, and right here is Western Tartary, and there's China, and what we'll get into farther back, it's going to be Chinese Tartary also. This is the doctrine of the sphere. Here is the artificial sphere. Because the world was coming from being flat and going into being a globe. Right here you've got the doctrine of the globe.